his idea, his vision about the city of Skopje was brutalism, because at that time that was the modern thing. And Skopje currently is considered as the brutalism capital of Europe because it has so many brutalist buildings all over the city. However, for the locals, brutalist architecture is considered as communist architecture. And just to give you how communist architecture is brutalism, if you've ever been to New York, Peggy Guggenheim Museum is brutalist architecture.
We're missing a passport.
So very communist architecture, you agree? Yeah?
I always have it here, and it's not
And the issue was that the architects that lived in Macedonia went to school in Vienna, they went to school in Paris, they went to school in London and Prague. They didn't went to school to Moscow or Leningrad, they went to the Western world. And they knew what the Western was, what was modern at that time.
only this.
What about the pockets of this?
But because the association of these brutalist buildings is communism,
But wait, can it be?
that was the issue why the government wanted to go one step backwards before communism to hide all of those buildings.
No, you know, the chicky was missing also, and then you found it.
Oh, I'm not.
Where did you find it?
hold on.
I don't
And
want
we're stopping
everybody-
just to make sure about certain passport something.
Do you have the number?
You know, put it in my suitcase, but I have to take my own time.
I'm sure it's in your suitcase. The number is 02 510 20.
Driving out of Skopje. A fascinating street. Here is Boyan, our guide. Boyan, good morning. How are you? This is going to be nice to have you on our trip.
It's nice to have you in Macedonia.
It's a pleasure. We look saying very interesting things that we like.
Thank you. We'll still have a lot more things to tell you.
We should, hello.
What? Oh, hold on. And this is
We should take him to Albania too.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Because neither I have been, no.
leaving Skopje.
Poveći ventilacija.
And because Kumanova is only 50 kilometers away from Skopje, so it's easy to commute. Right. If you look just straight from you, you will see a rock on the like you will see a canyon, a gorge. That's Matka Canyon, the most popular picnic or nature site very close to the city of Skopje. There is an accumulation lake, and it's very beautiful. So you should come back and see it. But if you look on the left side of the canyon, there is a rock that looks like a lady that is lying down with the hair falling down into the rivers, in the water of the rivers.
Yeah, I see.
See, there is a face with a chin, and well, there is something, a smaller rock that looks like Adam's apple,
Can you see it?
but yeah.
Yeah, I see
Well,
it.
on the,
But
on
there
the
is
left,
chest and so on.
with,
So
with her nose sticking out,
that lady,
That's her nose?
I guess.
that lady
I'm wrong,
is
maybe I'm-
called Jana.
It's on the left, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
now
left,
it's on
yeah,
the left.
right, okay,
Now,
yeah.
now
Can't see it anymore.
we cannot see it anymore. Well, there is an interesting story about Jana. Now you can see it again way on the left. The story is that in one of those villages just below lived a lady, a girl actually, a young girl that was in love with a boy, and they did something they shouldn't do, and well, they were young and foolish. And 9 months later, there were twins born, one boy and one girl. However, they were not married, and at this period, this was the worst thing that can happen. And the family of this girl decided to give away the babies, and and basically because she did sin, she would stay alone for the rest of her life without a family of her own. So that's what happened. They gave away the children, and the girl came to grow old without a family of hers. Until one day, a word came to the village that another family from another village needed help around their child. Basically, they had a very problematic child and they couldn't go to the field to do the agricultural work. So they needed someone to help them in taking care of the child. And the old lady, I mean the girl now, an old lady, said, okay, I don't have a family of my own, so I'm gonna go there. So she went to the next village and knocked on the door. And the moment the lady of the house opened the door, right there she recognized her. That was her daughter, her child.
Wow.
And she couldn't say a word. She was just shocked after so many years. So this lady didn't know what was the thing. She just saw her standing there, pale, without not being able to speak, and just invited her in to sit down so she can give her some glass of water. And then the husband appeared, like asking what's the issue. And she saw him. She couldn't believe that this was her son. They had met and married each other. And
sin number 2.
yeah, and
I missed the story.
and then
Good story.
Incest, the brother married the sister.
so I mean this was the reason why the child was so problematic. But after some minutes, this old lady caught her breath and she started speaking. So she told them the story, how and everything happened, and that they're two brothers. And when she finished with the story, the lady of the house, her name was Jana, she was so shocked that she was well, first adopted, that you know, and she married her brother and so on, that she just fainted, fell down and turned to stone. And well, you saw her. This is a true story. She was turned to stone. Yeah. And Jane is like from Jana. If you looked more towards to the left, there was a big mountain, a big lump.
Right.
Well, Jane lied over her, and he turned to stone as well. And yeah, this is the story. And then the lady continued to take care of the child, and that was it.
What a sad story.
It's a very strange story, I must say, but yeah, this is what the locals say about Jana.
This is life.
Wow.
You know, every story has a moral, and I guess the moral of this one is that you shouldn't do sin before marriage or something like this, I guess. But it's a bit too old.
Right.
Good story. So.
That's the
It's
moral?
a good
It's
story.
a fairy
The
tale.
moral is that, well, times have changed, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we don't get punished like
The city is famous for two things. For dry beans, because they have probably the best dry beans in the country, and for red apples. The mountain that you see above, going all the way up into the clouds, is what I told you before, Shar Mountain. It's the biggest mountain in Macedonia. It's part of the Alpine genesis of mountains. So you can say it's the Macedonian Alps. And there are more than 20 peaks above 2,000 meters, so that's above 6,000 feet. And on the other side of the mountain is Kosovo. And the highest peak in Macedonia is way on the most left, way over there in the clouds. And it's it's 2,764 meters, so that would be close to something like 8,000 feet.
How high is Skopje?
Sorry?
How high is Skopje?
The city of Skopje is at 263 meters.
Oh, very low. Okay.
Or that is about 1,000 feet.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit less, 900 feet above sea level. And the interesting thing is that the river Vardar comes from this area, goes all the way around behind us, and almost the same route as we took. And it starts from another town about 25 kilometers in front of us, that is called Gostivar. And it's the beginning of the river Vardar is one of the biggest water sources, springs in the country. Now I would like to share something about the program that we have today, because we have a let's say a joint decision with Venci to try to make this day a full day and to work. And they would return for a short period, so the men would return in a short period of time to see their families, to make babies, to bring money, and then to leave again. And also in this short period of time, the bachelors would get married and then leave again to work. And having this very strange tradition of mainly female village, settlements in the village, they had this period in the middle of July to do their matrimonial things. So it was on a certain date when all the marriages were done before the men could leave and work. And this was taken, this was a tradition that was caught on by the officials, and at the moment when the village lost its people, basically everyone moved to Skopje, they decided, okay, so we're gonna give money to organize a traditional wedding. And when I say traditional wedding, I mean horses, going with horses to the village, taking the bride with the horses and all of these things, and wearing those traditional costumes with those heavy jewelry, waiting for something like 40-50 pounds. And in the past, there was only one precondition for a couple to take this wedding. They should have some ancestor from this village. So if they are from this village, at least one of them, then they can apply to the government. We want to get married in the traditional way. So this went on like this. It became an incredible tourist event. Such a tourist event that at this moment you don't want to go there in this period. Then it wasn't just on the 16th, 17th, 18th of July. You don't want to go there because in a village with 100 houses, in that weekend there is like 10,000, 20,000 people. You won't be able to see anything from the wedding, so it's better if you look at it from your TV, because there is live, screening all over the country and stuff like that. I mean, it's an incredible event if you can get to a place where actually you can witness part of this. But honestly, I don't recommend coming at this period to this village because it's so crowded. You won't,
Galicia?
Galichnik.
Galichnik.
You know,
Are you there?
I went to it in
Really?
in
Yeah.
2012. It
Really?
was fabulous.
Really?
We were with the Goran Alechki workshop, and he took all of us, and we sat on the hillside with a lot of other people from who knows where, and we saw the whole thing. It was fabulous. People came out of these houses in their wonderful costumes, and then the music. Well, the Zernas and the Tupans came in a parade up this hill, and the men danced on top of the Tupans, and the music was outstanding. It was so thrilling.
This was the festival? Or this was just an
It was-
ordinary day?
It was the wedding.
Oh, the wedding itself.
The wedding was taking
Oh, I see,
place,
yeah.
yes. So, I don't know whether it's changed since
There's
2012.
more and more people going there.
But it was wonderful
incredible. Yeah,
in
it's the same story.
2012, and I would recommend going to it. We just have to get there early.
Yeah.
You just get there early, and you'll get a good seat.
Let's
Right on the
do it.
hillside.
Let's do it in 2020.
Instead of
It's-
the Black Sea.
It's
Black Sea and
Instead of the
village.
Black
it was
I don't know if we can
a
do both.
highlight of any trip I've ever taken.
Wow.
It was an absolute highlight. So
But that's in July, right?
yes, it's always the same.
16, second decade of July.
Yeah.
What happens the rest of the time? I mean,
The rest-
like in August, and anything, just a
the
normal.
rest of the time is just a regular village with the story of the grandma and the grandpa, showing you how they make cheese.
Oh, they're there.
Oh,
They're there.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're very old, but they cook. The lady, I mean the grandma cooks so nice.
And you first you hear the horns and the
Suppose you
drums
had-
from a distance,
Yeah.
and gradually it comes up the hill so that it's
Because they move.
creates
Yeah,
this
but that's-
wonderful
They walk.
tension.
Progression. Suspense.
Yes, and you can't wait to see it, and then it's there, and they dance on top of the tupans. It's thrilling.
This is the teshkoto, the difficult.
Yes, the teshkoto. That's right.
Teshkoto, yeah, I've heard of
Difficult.
that.
It's just marvelous. So they do the teshkoto at the Macedonian festival in Cleveland.
Really?
The place is Lake St. Clement of.
The world, the United Nations sympathized with the catastrophe, and they had an international call for the city plan. And a Japanese architect